Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Definition. In this episode we're breaking down the second entry of Picard. Our mission is to boldly go where no one has gone before and give our thoughts on the follow-up and what could be happening in the future. Throughout this video we'll be discussing the ins and outs of the second episode's plot, its Easter eggs and what we thought of it as a whole. There will be heavy spoilers here, so if you haven't had a chance to catch the show yet and don't want to know what happens, then I highly suggest that you turn off now. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for daily breakdowns like this and a weekly recap of Picard the day that it airs. With that out of the way, I just want to give a huge thank you for clicking this video. Now let's get into our breakdown of Picard Episode 2. Okay, so just a quick recap of the first episode. We joined Jean Luc Picard on his French vineyard where he was haunted by visions of Data. Data seemingly died decades prior, and this has followed the character throughout his elder years. After a massive attack on Mars, synthetics have been outlawed and there is a lot of prejudice towards them in the galaxy. We discover that Data had a daughter named Daj and she was being hunted by assassins. Though she went to Picard for help, these proved too much and she was killed. However, the lineage of Data is not lost forever, and we learn that Daj had a twin sister who was working on a big Borg cube in space. Episode 2 picks up 14 years ago on Mars in 2385 amidst the aforementioned synthetic uprising. We know that the androids that caused the uprising came from the Daystrom Institute and that no one has been able to replicate the complexities of Data's personality. Dr. Bruce Maddox, who was a key player in defining whether he was a person or not, failed to accomplish this with the character's brother B4. Anyway, on Mars it's Happy First Contact Day. First Contact Day is celebrated on the 5th of April and it marks the time that the humans first made their contact with the Vulcans in 2063. The celebration first made its appearance in Star Trek Voyager and since then it's become a minor holiday. Because of this, most of the staff at the Mars station are off work and the group that we see are operating with a skeleton crew. The primary android we follow is F8, like fate, get it? And this kind of points out the fact that the humans were always destined to clash with the robots. How many times must we watch The Matrix and Terminator before we learn? At the station we see a replicator that creates meals. These are primarily used to synthesize food, and its inclusion here showcases just how much synthetics are needed in modern day Starfleet life. All of a sudden F8's eyes switch, almost as if he was uploaded with a program, and he goes wild, unleashing the devastating attack. Was it just me, or did these guys remind you of the Working Joes from Alien Isolation? Anyway, containment fails and the planet pretty much gets wiped out, with F8 destroying himself so that he cannot be studied. Did I just assume the gender of an android? No wonder they hate us. Back in the present we pick up at Chateau Picard and we learn that Daj has been completely erased from any camera footage. Picard's homies talk about the Jacques Vache, which is a Tal Shiar myth that is basically the boogeyman of the Federation. These secret police are a big part of Romulan mythology, and it's rumoured that these undead soldiers guard secrets so crazy that learning one would break a person's mind. At Daj's flat they try to use Romulan technology to recreate the attack on her from the assassins that we saw in the first episode. However, the Vache have completely wiped the scene of anti-leptons to scrub everything from any possible surveillance. The Jacques Vache are basically the Germans in World War II. I can't say what they are because of YouTube monetization, and they completely hate all forms of synthetic life and wish to wipe it all from the galaxy. This explains why there's pretty much no presence of androids in Romulan culture. Picard is able to track them though due to their need to make the scene look like it hasn't been surgically removed. Because of Daj's similarity to her sister, due to their replication, they discover that Soji may have seemed to be Daj at one point, and through this they are able to trace her. The investigation really picks up the pace of the show, and for people who were complaining last week that it was a bit slow, I definitely think that they'll be swept up here as it does a phenomenal job of getting you on board. Speaking of on board, we join Soji once more on board the Borg cube that is being built in the vastness of space. We learn that this is in fact an artifact and that it hasn't been built but rather restored, and once it's back in tip-top shape we can get it going and get Brexit done. A wealth of races inhabit the craft, including Romulans, humans and of course the android Soji. The fact that Soji's boyfriend, who is Romulan, is getting so close to the Borg shows that the previous statement on the species' hate of synthetics may no longer be true. We do know from last week that there was an event known as the Romulan Supernova in which the planet was destroyed. Picard wanted to rescue those who were stuck there, like a Dunkirk in space, and he wished to have help from Starfleet. However, due to the attack on Mars, their attentions lay elsewhere, and thus Picard couldn't help those he so desperately wanted to. The Romulans still keep their secrets closely guarded, and Soji has difficulty finding out what's going on from him. The theme of the episode is very much secrets and keeping things hidden, and this is exemplified here. We do kind of get the feeling that everything is being kept under the surface, and this is showcased in Picard's diagnosis in the episode. We are introduced to Moritz Benayoun, an old friend of Picard that served with him on the USS Stargazer. The two go way back, but he has some bad news for Picard. It turns out that though he's in brilliant shape on the surface, Picard is actually suffering from Aromatic Syndrome. In Star Trek terms, this is an Alzheimer's-like condition that causes him to have hallucinations and blanks in his memory. It's labelled as being a death sentence for the character. Picard needs to go interstellar, and Moritz gives him a clean bill of health which will allow him to travel and get to the bottom of the mystery. We see Picard arrive in San Fran, and it looks like one of the alien crew members from the Borg Cube could be seen here too. We don't know for definite, but they kinda linger on her for a bit long, so it might not be her, we really don't know, but there is talk in the episode of moles being in Starfleet, and I do think this is kind of what's going on here, or maybe it's just they needed someone on set quickly, and she'd already had her makeup done. Assumed her gender again. I'm sorry, don't dislike the video. We see holograms of the Enterprise from over the years, and Picard divulges to an admiral that Bruce Maddox has been trying to build a synthetic organic life form. If you checked out my last video, you'll know that we discussed how, in the episode Measure of a Man, that Maddox wished to take Data and study him as he did not view him as a person. This conversation hints at the overall conspiracy as a whole, and it does say that he may be working with the Romulans and that Data could also be out there in the galaxy somewhere. This is kind of cleared up towards the end, but I'll get into that theory later in the video. Now, what this conversation does is that it adds a lot of weight to our theory that Data will be resurrected and his consciousness will be uploaded into his brother B4. Though this failed in the films, I do personally think that it will be put in place here, and this will be a big way to bring the character back. The actor is clearly on board as he's popping up in dreams, so yeah, that's my theory for the moment. Picard butts heads with the Admiral, who pretty much refuses him a crew after his outbursts on TV from the last episode in which he criticised Starfleet. We hear later in the episode that this is Admiral Clancy, and it could be that this is a continuation of Ensign Clancy from the Next Generation. We don't get it confirmed, but we do learn that they do know each other, so I kinda connected the dots on that. Picard seems to be going off the deep end, and it reminds us of how complex a character that this depiction is going with. You kind of get the feeling that Picard can't really be trusted, especially in light of his diagnosis, and I'm so glad they're taking a mature look at the character rather than just being like, everyone loves him, he can do what he wants. His request is denied and he returns home defeated. Aboard the Borg Cube, we see that Soji is a pretty low-ranking worker, and this is why her relationship with Norik, a high-ranking official, must be kept secret. The Romulans are clearly running the show here, and it does sort of depict how things could work going forward. There is a worry that the Borg may restabilize and run riot, but overall it becomes clear that most of the people coming to the cube are hoping for sanctuary and to study things. It's not clear exactly what is going on, but I just want to bring up a theory that I saw on my last video that I think states how the Borg may be. I did say that I thought they'd become the villains of the season, but this comment changed my mind massively. The comment comes from Kirk001 and says, I really doubt the Borg are the villain of this series. I think they play a role of oppressed peoples here. Previous trailers showed deborgified drones kept in internment camps. Patrick Stewart was motivated to do the show in response to a Brexit/Trump world, which has had a strong emotional impact on him. Federation/Romulan views of the synth and the Borgs in the series appear to be analogies to Western society's interaction with Muslims and the Middle East. They kind of say that the synth attack on Mars sort of echoes back to 9/11. I recall reading 7 of 9 has been fighting to help former drones that remained imprisoned by the Federation and Romulans. I suspect that the season's arc will revolve around 3 interrelated parts. 1. Finding the truth about Dahj/Soji. 2. Liberating imprisoned former drones who have been unjustly held for years without trial under the argument that they're too dangerous to be freed even if they're no longer part of the collective. And 3. Discovering who has been manipulating the events, artificially triggering a supernova to destroy Romulus, executing a rogue synth attack to give the Federation justification for denying 900 million Romulans refugee relocation assistance, and triggering the ban on creation of artificial life. So yeah, I just thought I'd add that in, as it definitely makes sense. I was going to just steal that theory and say it's mine, but sometimes I can be the good guy. We see the Borgs being harvested in the episode, and clearly they're being cultivated for something rather than being the enemy force throughout. Soji clearly feels sympathetic towards them, and yeah, I think it's clear they're going one way with the show. Dr. Agnes arrives at the vineyard with some materials from Maddox's study, and we learn that Maddox probably created Dahj and Soji to look like the painting because it's what Data left behind and not the other way around. It was theorized that he may have created them, then made the painting, but this clears it up. It's revealed that Dahj was enrolled at Daystrom, but her credentials were completely fictional, so as we guessed last week, her memories were likely implants. She was likely created by Maddox 3 years prior to the show, and thus her mother could also be a hologram as we theorized. Picard seems like a lost soul, staring into the stars, and he puts his badge back on and sends a message out into the cosmos. Starfleet aren't happy though, and we see a Vulcan commander talking about how they hoped he was mothballed. On a desk sits a replica of the Kirshara from the Enterprise, which contains the teachings of Surak. I didn't spot this, someone on Reddit did. I should have stole it, but yeah, I'm giving credit this episode. Picard goes to get a ship, and we join Lieutenant Rizzo, who's been assigned to track him. It's mentioned that she's messed up a couple of things at Starfleet, however, as we see in the finale, this was clearly intentional, as she's likely a double agent working with the Romulans. She has been disguised this entire time, and has a secret agenda. Oh my god, did I just assume her agenda? Make sure you subscribe to the channel for top quality jokes like that every week. They've been manipulating the inner workings of Starfleet, and this is likely how they've remained undetected. We learn that they are keeping a close eye on Soji to find the location of a nest of synthetics. Though Dahj has been destroyed, there is clearly more of her ilk out there, and who knows, there may even be a replica of Data. Personally, I believe that the nest is referring to Dr. Maddox's lab in the galaxy somewhere, and they'll be attempting to track this down to wipe out the synthetics and organics in one fell swoop. It ends the episode on a big cliffhanger, and next time it looks like Picard will be getting his ship whilst the net closes in on Soji. It's really ramping up, and I had a lot of fun with this entry as I did the last. So far, Picard has been a blast, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Now obviously let me know your thoughts on the episode in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video then please give it a thumbs up, and make sure you check out our breakdown from last week if you missed it. If you already checked it out, then please watch our breakdown of the new info that we have on the Batman, which goes over the villains that are going to be appearing in the movie. If you want to support the channel from as little as 99 cents a month, then please click the join button below. You get access to content early and can suggest video topics and breakdowns. We massively appreciate it, and it goes a long way to helping videos like this get made. And if you want to come chat to us after the show, either follow us at DefinitionYT or click the Discord link in the description below. Every month we give away free movies to people who are subscribed to the channel, and this month you can win Dr. Sleep, and all you have to do is comment on a video and make sure you sub with notifications on. The more videos you comment on, the more you have a chance of winning, so make sure you get involved. The winner is going to be chosen at random on the 15th of February, so best of luck to everyone who takes part. This is a channel for people who are never missing television, so if that's the kind of thing you like, you need to subscribe to Definition. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this. You've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.